Top of the afternoon to ya. I'm Ben. We're in between sets. And from now on, you can tell your coach with scientific evidence to shove it. When they tell you you can't bend over, touch your toes, and suck that air through your nose after a hard effort. The abstract quickly. This is if you're on the pot or need to go to work or doing both. We'll make this one nice and quick for you so you can get in and out. I will link the study actually in the description below so you can read it on your own as well. But the purpose of this study was to essentially examine the effects of the two different recovery postures. As we have all been yelled at and screamed to do, put your hands over your head and try and suck in air through a fucking straw as it feels like you've got clamps on your rib cage. Or what your body naturally wants to do, put your hands on your knees, arch your back a little bit, put some oomph to it, and suck some air in. And apparently, they took 20 female Division II soccer players. No, they didn't link names or colleges in here, you sick. So you can't slide in their DMs, but if you're getting a scholarship to a D2 school, you're doing pretty well. You're a good player. So each trial consisted of 4 intervals on a motorized treadmill consisting of 4 minutes of running at 90 to 95% of your heart rate max. Like 1 minute, you're smoked. Imagine 4 minutes of that with a 3 minutes of passive recovery between each interval. So passive meaning you dead stop, you're not moving. If it was active, you'd be slowly walking. Anyways, you knew that. So the heart rate was collected during the first 60 seconds of each recovery, where the volume of carbon dioxide and tidal volume were recorded each minute during the 3-minute recovery period. So essentially they wanted to catch it right as it happened, clearly. The body essentially utilizes the respiratory system. It's the crucial role during rest and exercise via buffering metabolic byproducts. All the damaged cells and tissues, and also the waste that's produced when your body's converting oxygen and trying to utilize it for fuel for the body. So how do you measure that? They're going to try to indicate that your heart rate recovers to its normal steady state quicker doing one versus the other. So the screening quickly made sure that all these female athletes were solid, did all their measurements, body mass index, their pulmonary functioning, etc. So made sure that they were good. And then they gave them 2 recovery postures with parameters in which they taught them to do each one with different techniques so that they could get consistent data points. So we've got Rippy Magoo here. Damn. I need to start doing more abs. So this female athlete, they made them have their hands clasped behind their head and stand erect until their heart rate recovered to its natural state. And then for the second group, for the hands on the knees, they had their elbows locked here, their full arms, hands on their knees, a 10-degree flexion on their thoracic spine. So that's the middle portion of your spine from T1 to I think it's like T12, and just essentially stand there and fucking recover your breath. Pretty straightforward and simple. So I'm gonna jump down to the results quickly. The subject characteristics and resting pulmonary measurements are presented in table 1 here. So the subjects just lays out the means and averages of, and then a little bit of, I think this is the outlier info, but we're pretty close. 20 years old, 20 subjects, roughly the same height mean, same body weight, etc. Except for those defenders and goalkeepers. So the comparison of heart rate recovery, I believe HRR stands for, data revealed a significant difference between hands on head and hands on knee postures. So clearly one works better than the other. The results came out. A little bit more shocking than I would initially have anticipated, but what it stated was that the hands-on knee posture resulted in a significantly faster decrease in heart rate between intervals than that of the hands-on head posture. Hands on head, hands on knees, and I believe this is the heart rate recovery. So this is how fast your heart rate is dropping back to homeostasis. So it says the hands overhead roughly looks like it's about 30-ish, and so it's over that period of same time it dropped 30 beats per minute, whereas the hands over knee dropped at about, it looks like about 50. So that's like a 20 beats per minute difference in recovery, which is, when you're talking about seconds count, minutes count, like getting back into the match, in terms of being an active participant, whereas you're sucking wind trying to like regain consciousness because you're so freaking tired, that's gonna matter. So a 20, I figured this would be minimal, like 10, maybe 15, but literally probably over 20 beats per minute here difference. That's enough to prove to your coaches and all your trainers that yelled at you after doing a full sprint for sitting there sucking wind because your body naturally wants to go here and just like, okay, we're still alive, we're good, don't vomit, all the things that go through your head. Why am I here? Shoot me now. You were right. So this is proof that you can shove it, coaches and trainers. You were wrong, admit it. And maybe we feel slighted all those years having to unnaturally stand in a position that felt like, like I mentioned, the clamps on your ribs, sucking air through a straw, and you're just wondering like why that feels naturally better to be doing the hands on the knee. At least for me, it always was, But in the end, having had time to forgive all those coaches over the years and digest this new data on the most effective recovery methods, I really believe there was an unconscious mental toughness component to the hands over the head too. So, many times I didn't want to stand, but because I believed it was helping and what we had to do to rapidly return to those, performance zones, as I just mentioned, you train your mind too to like always be this default system in those hard moments and like just, okay, you just naturally start doing this. So what's the purpose of this? Who knows? Like, it's 2022. Do we want athletes to be softer and do the things? Like, is there a mental component to the hands over the head? I couldn't test the theory, but maybe you can if you're an athlete currently in today's day and age with a team like that. I've switched away from football and I'm now into jiu-jitsu. But, in all seriousness, this is kind of awesome that the strength and conditioning field is like continually evolving and growing. And we're testing all these performance theories, and all these concepts that our coaches would just blurt out. And back then, you didn't, now you don't really question coaches and strength and conditioning coaches either. Like, you expect them to be the experts. But a lot of the time, they're not in terms of keeping up with the new data. And I think that's where these types of studies being done and people investing their lives to figuring these things out. And while it seems a little silly, it is, but 20 beats per minute is a significant difference. I would have totally have argued with the coach and presented this study to them back in the day. So I just want to start bringing these types of things to life, and why not do it with you guys? So if you thought any of this was at least interesting and wanted to learn more about it or blast me on everything I'm doing wrong in terms of a YouTube perspective, let me know down below. I would love to hear from you and like to explore some more of these studies. We can do some more gym stuff, maybe talk about some interesting backgrounds as to some of our favorite equipment in the gym, maybe some history, things of that nature. I'm just really interested in these things. It's my life. It's where I spend all my time and energy, and now it's time to keep growing. Let's get back to work. I'm Ben. This is In Between Sets. I'll see you on the next one. Later.